Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. I'm sorry if I look tired or sound tired. I am extremely tired, but it's all good. It's all good. It's a good kind of busy. It's a good kind of tired. I just apologize for that. But this is just a quick update video, just to let everybody know. So with the Esoteric Academy, we are having our first live call on Saturday, February 1. I believe that's, hold on, let me just double check the date here. Yes, Saturday, February 1. So in a couple of days from now, at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So Eastern time, that if you are anywhere else in the world, that is New York City time. So sometimes if you look on your iPhones, it might say New York. I'm directly south of New York and Atlanta. So it's 7 a.m. my time. That's what's set on the Zoom link because it's my Zoom account. So it would always be set on my time zone. Now, going forward for every month, if you're part of the Esoteric Academy, obviously part of that is every month you will have a live call with Paula or me or a guest. We might have some guest people come on, like Catherine might come on. We are going to be changing the times up every single month. And we're doing this, I know in a lot of businesses it's going to be set, but we're trying to change the times up every single month because we have so many people from all over the world. And we know that regardless of what time we set these calls, somebody out there in the world it's gonna be inconvenient, right? It might be like 3 o'clock in the morning for you or something, you know. And so we want to move that around so the inconvenience is shared amongst us, right? We want to be fair with this. We want to make sure that that is shared amongst us, if that makes sense. So Paula should be sending out an email. If you are part of the Esoteric Academy, you should be getting an email, a private email with that Zoom link specifically for that call. This first call that we're going to be doing on Saturday, it's the first one ever. So we don't have a specific topic that we're looking to talk about. It's really generally just going to be a meet and greet for us to get to know you, and you can ask whatever questions you want in that call. And honestly, like moving forward, anytime you have a question, regardless of whether it's off topic or not, we welcome you to ask it at that call because this is your academy and we want to make sure that we are serving you in the best way possible, given the constraints of us all being in different places around the world. Now, on top of getting one live like Q&A call with us every month, we're also going to be doing a live class every month. And we're looking at doing our first live class with you guys on the 2nd. So the next day, Sunday at like 4 p.m. Eastern time. So again, whatever that is for you, we will kind of probably verify that at the live call to make sure that works for most people. You know, if you are a part of the academy, you don't have to participate in these live calls or these live classes if you don't want to. This is absolutely optional. It's just a perk that you get. And with that all being said, if there is something very private that you would like to talk to Paula or me about one-on-one, that's perfectly fine as well. I know sometimes in spiritual things come up and they should come up. And sometimes some of these things are really heavy and it might not be something that you want to address in front of a group. And we absolutely will respect that. If there's something that you need to talk to us about that you don't want to address in front of the group, we will absolutely keep that as part of our ethical code. For me as a teacher, things that my students share with me privately, just like any healer, we don't share that publicly with anybody. And so obviously you are always welcome to email us or get through the website. Please, if you email us for the Esoteric Academy, please email it through the website because I get a lot of emails through this channel. And so I don't want to miss your email if you're one of our students with the Academy. I want to make sure that if there's something you need from us that I absolutely get that email because a lot of emails I just don't get. So so please make sure you email through the Academy if that's something that you want to talk to us about. Now, with that being said, there are limitations to what we can do given our jobs. And so a lot of times if something is really serious that you're dealing with, like emotionally or something, Paula and I might recommend like a therapy outside of the Esoteric Academy, depending on the, you know, where our training lies, as any ethical teacher should do that. So even if you're at a yoga shala, any ethical teacher, if you come with a really bad like emotional issue going on, most teachers are going to recommend you to a trauma therapist or a healer, something outside that can help you more extensively with the brain and the way the brain adapts to trauma. So I just want to make that very clear too, that Paula and I very much as teachers and healers respect our limitations. And so if you do come to us privately or even in a group about an issue that we feel like we need to refer you to someone else, we will do that just to keep you as safe as possible. Yeah, and so with the first class or the first call on Saturday is, again, it's just chit-chatting. It's just us getting to know each other for about an hour. You can ask questions if you want, just get kind of a meet and greet. But then if we do the first class on Sunday, which I think we are going to do that on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, that class is going to be, I was already talking to Paula about this, it's going to be extremely foundational. So more like a workshop. And that might be true for the first few classes that we do live, because there are some things that I really want to make sure, very foundational things that I really want to make sure you as students can wrap your head around, so that when you go about your week or your month doing the videos on our academy or going to other classes, that you have more of an understanding of what it is you're actually seeking. Like what is the point of what you are trying to activate in your body? In the beginning, it's kind of like a flop shop anyway. It's kind of a shit show in the beginning anyway. That's fine. You know, it needs to be a little messy in the beginning. How could it not be messy in the beginning? You're a beginner. But the more you start to understand these foundational things within the energetic body, the more autonomy that you're going to have when you go forth and start to grow in your practice. And again, I've said this many times on this channel. You've heard me say this, and I'll say it again. A teacher's job is to eventually not be needed, all right? A cult leader's job is to always be needed. And there is some nuance there. Like, I still have a teacher, but my relationship with my teacher is very different because I've been doing this for 19 years. So that relationship will change over time. But nonetheless, the point is my goal as a teacher is to actually teach you so that you know what you're doing. Yeah. And that's my job, right? My job is not to coach you. It's not to like scold you. Even if there is scolding, it's to try to course correct. I hate to use the word scolding. It's just course correction. If you saw the interview with Todd, the part 2, he talked about that, how a lot of times people just don't want to be taught. And that's sometimes the problem, a big problem between like contemporary yoga and traditional yoga. In traditional yoga, we're here to teach you. We're not instructors to like give you an exercise class. We're literal teachers here to teach you. And so the foundations that we're going to work on in the first few classes are stuff that I feel, again, that is extremely important to work with you guys on, to make sure that you have that knowledge whenever you do my videos or whenever you go to another class. As I was saying, we're going to work a lot on the activation of Mula Bandha through the big toe. We're going to look at the rotation of the hip. We're even going to look at things like forward folds. That's something Paula had asked me about with like splits, because a split would be considered like a forward fold, and how to work that. And a lot of people don't know this. This is something we're going to talk about. I don't mind saying it now openly on this channel. Maybe it'll help you watching if you're not even a part of the academy, but a lot of people, especially in contemporary yoga classes, they think things like forward folding is all about your hamstrings, and the hamstrings are a very small part of forward folding. A lot of times people assume that because that's where you might feel the most friction, you might feel the most sensation in your hamstrings. The primary purpose of a forward fold, always and forever until the end of time, is your digestive system, is detoxing your digestive system. That is the sole purpose of a forward fold. So if that's shocking to you, welcome to the world of traditional yoga. And the more you start to learn these things, the more these shapes that you're making with your body, be it in a yoga class, be it in a bar class or dance class, be it in kickboxing, being the shape of running, whatever shape that is and whatever form of exercise you choose to do, when you start to understand the mechanics behind why you're making that shape, the true mechanics, all of a sudden things will start to fall into place in your mind and it'll start to make sense. And that's another reason why I know Todd and Paula talked a lot about pranayama in their part 2. And a lot of pranayama, our breath work, is taught completely incorrect in the Western world. You know, a lot of Western yoga teachers will teach like belly breathing, and that is so unbelievably dangerous to do while you're in exercise or in asana or in motion, right? Belly breathing is more of like a seated practice. And that's why, because when you're belly breathing, you're not detoxing through the colon, right? So if you're trying to do a forward fold, but you're also belly breathing, you're fighting against yourself. Yeah? You're fighting against yourself. And then it's just going to cause crazy making in your mind. So we're going to really break that down on Sunday. There's even more to it. That's just a very basic thing that we're looking at, how to pull the stomach in whenever accessing a forward fold, because pulling that stomach in, sometimes the hamstrings are only going to go so far. And then when you pull that belly in, that's when the fold completes itself, right? So you're not pulling from the hamstrings, you're actually pulling from the abdominal system. We'll talk about the difference between mobility and flexibility. I know that Cindy is creating a whole mobility class. Listen, flexibility, beta, as we say in Mysore, beta. Beta don't want. Flexibility don't want. Flexibility is bullshit, basically. Any teacher, any yoga teacher that tells you to go get more flexible, don't go back to their class. Don't go back to their class. You will never hear in an Ashtanga room, a Mysore room, you're never going to hear an Ashtanga teacher talk about flexibility. All right? Because it's not about flexibility. Even though you might see extremely what appears to be hypermobile, hyperflexible postures, like leg behind your head, flexibility, that's more about strength, right? That core strength. And we're going to talk about that and start to break that down so that as you go into this practice, we are keeping you as safe as possible in the practice and giving you the most knowledge we can so that you can avoid some of the mistakes that a lot of people make. And a lot of these mistakes that are made are just made out of pure ignorance. And that's something that we definitely want to avoid in the Esoteric Academy, as well as in other traditional yoga schools. David Garrigue, my original teacher, has a great video about this, that we really try hard to avoid injury at all costs. Sometimes, though, there is karma. There is karma that has to play itself out, and that's just something none of us can stop from happening. But for everything else, we're going to try as best we can to avoid that. And we really want to focus more on your strength. When I get students that come into the Mysore room who are hyper flexible, like just naturally, I usually hold them back a lot longer than students who are really tight. And the reason why I hold them back is because that hyper mobility, that hyper flexibility is extremely dangerous, right? We want mobility, we want the strength with that opening. Yeah. And so people who usually come at the practice who are already hyper flexible, they usually don't have a lot of strength. You're either going to have one or the other. You're either going to come to this practice extremely strong but tight, or you're going to come to this practice extremely flexible but with no strength. And the safer of the two practitioners are the ones who are very strong and tight. They're the ones that are going to be able to be pushed further. The ones who are hypermobile but have no strength, they have to be held back for a very long time in order to develop that strength so that they can safely proceed forward into some of these more advanced asanas. And so we're going to discuss all of that and start and hopefully break some of these bad ideas that you might have that you don't know you have, like bad teachings that are causing you problems in your practice, that if we can just correct like one little misconception, then it might open the door to progress. And so that is kind of my goal, at least for the first few classes, to really work with you guys through that so we can kind of clear the slate and start all over again with you, especially if you've had a history of going to yoga classes or doing this kinds of stuff that maybe you were taught wrong, and this bad habit has continued with you. And now we're going to try to like pull it back a little bit and rewire some stuff so that we can actually push you forward. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about that. The first few classes, because they're going to be workshop based, will be more strength and stretch or strength and stamina type classes. They're not going to be fusion classes. It's going to be a while before we do live fusion classes. That is in the books, though, to eventually do live fusion classes. But in the beginning, again, I just want to make sure that we have a clear understanding with our students of where we're starting from and what the intention is, and that you feel like you have a safe environment to fuck up, right? To make mistakes, because this is a school, right? You're supposed to make mistakes because you're in a school, and don't shy away from those mistakes, because those mistakes are usually how you learn in the first place, right? When you make the mistake and you course correct it, then that stays with you. We're going to also talk about not shying away from that which is hard for you. I'll give you a really good example of that. So for me, when I first started my yoga journey in traditional yoga, backbending, because I had back surgery, all that kind of stuff was that was really emotionally more than physically challenging for me. And I remember one time I went out to lunch with some of my Shala mates after Mysore class, and one of my friends who has a strong practice herself, we were sitting at lunch, and she was like, God, I wish I had, your back is so bendy, Bryce. You just naturally bend. I wish I had your spine. And I remember looking at her shocked, like, what are you talking about? I literally have a nervous breakdown every time I have to do a deep back bend. I've punched a teacher coming out of a back bend before. Like, this is, what are you talking about? So sometimes what we perceive from other people is not really what's going on. But with that being said, and when I talk about back bending, especially in the Ashtanga, I'm not talking about little simple Urdhva Dhanurasanas. Those are cute, but I'm talking about catching your ankles. I'm talking about really intense work. I'm talking about tick-tocking, about forward and back handsprings where you bring your feet to your head, these extreme back bends that we work through in more of the advanced series. And that I really broke me down, and more emotionally than anything, right? Because that's what it really is your body is responding to your mind. And because I spent years going through that, years facing my own day after day after day, facing that, at this point, I am now considered one of the best backbending teachers in Atlanta, Georgia. And it is because that is where I have struggled. And so because that is where I have struggled, that is where I had to do the most work myself. And in doing that work, Ram Dass talks about this. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is just learning shit, right? But wisdom is through experience. And so I have become an extremely good backbending teacher. I also really prioritize backbending because I understand everything that I've had to unwind in myself, and the clarity that it's given me, and the liberation it's given me to face whatever shit was in my head that was playing out in backbending, has freed me to work through that and burn that karma. So I prioritize that now. And so with that being said, even if you never teach, I don't want you to run from that which scares you, because that is where your power is actually going to lie. Funny that, right? That where we think we're the weakest is actually where we're going to end up being the strongest. Yeah. Now, when it comes to forward folding, so for me, when I went through the primary series of Ashtanga Yoga, I went through the primary series pretty quickly. Now, let me be very clear about this. Primary series of Ashtanga Yoga is only primary series because it's yoga chikitsa, which is physical therapy. It's not the primary series because it's easy. In fact, full primary series should take a student about 10 years to really master. And even then, I'm still learning things from primary series. A full primary series would be considered an advanced class in Vinyasa flow. So let's be very clear about the demands between traditional yoga and contemporary yoga. The demands of traditional yoga far exceed that of contemporary bullshit yoga. It's extremely challenging, right? But for me, my karma did not come up in primary series. And I still enjoy the primary series. It's a lot of forward folding because you're grounding yourself, you're correcting your physical therapy, so you're detoxing your organs. My hips have always been relatively open, so behind the head was never quite that struggle for me. Going forward was never a struggle for me. It was going back in the back bend that really got me. That's where my karma came up. So for me, even though I'm a good forward folding teacher, I understand it, I'm a better backbending teacher because that's where everything unfolded for me, if that makes sense. And so with that being said, I don't want you to judge yourself on your failures. Your failures or your perceived failures or your weaknesses are actually where it's super interesting for you. I want you to be excited about facing the hard stuff because that's where your power really lies. Yeah? Your power doesn't lie in that which you find easy. Yeah? You know why I like the primary series so much? Part of it is because I can do the whole primary series daydreaming about something else because it's not hard for me. It's just not. And so my mind goes elsewhere. But when I'm in second series, my mind has to be focused because it's a challenge. And that's the meditation, that's the yoga. Now, something Paula and Todd spoke about in part 2 was the dangers of seated meditation, which we can talk more about in the phone call if you guys want to, because I thought it was extremely important that he spoke about that, because so many people are going wackadoo. They're going batshit crazy into their neuroses and psychoses because they're doing long seated meditations. What are you doing? What are you doing? And so they're escaping. They're disassociating from being human. And that's not spirituality. Disassociation is not spirituality. That's just building more karma. So I'm glad that he brought that up, and we will do a further talk on that if you guys want to. Todd is also going to be creating a Vedic chanting course and potentially a japa meditation. That's the one seated meditation that I really support is japa meditation, because japa meditation keeps the mind focused. There's no room for daydreaming in japa meditation, so he's going to potentially be offering that as well. And so, yeah, if you guys, if this is the first you're here, I don't know how it would be the first you're hearing about it because we've been talking about the Academy for a very long time. But if you are new here and you want to join the Esoteric Academy, this is a virtual mystery school that is run by Paula and myself. We are in our soft launch phase until February 20th of 2025. So during this soft launch phase, the tuition is only $25 a month. And if you purchase within the soft launch phase, we will honor that price for forever. The price will go up by $15 on February 20th, 2025. It will go up to $40 a month. And honestly, both the $25 price point and the $40 price point are still extremely cheap for what we're offering. We've got, thousands of dollars worth of material and courses. I have, again, a course on the Bhagavad Gita. I've got a course on Ram Dass's work called Polishing the Mirror based off of his book. I've got a course on the alchemy of movement. Paula has meditation courses, quantum healing courses. We have a playlist called the Academics of Spirituality, which is an ongoing playlist. We'll constantly be adding to that because it's just miscellaneous terms and concepts in the spiritual world that we're going to keep that. So, if you hear this word prana a lot and you're not quite sure what prana means, you can go to the Academics of Spirituality and we have a video on prana or Shakti or Padampada, Parampara, the yamas and the niyamas. We have these miscellaneous things that you can go, okay, so now I know I can reference back to that. We have 3 different playlists for exercises. As I told you guys before, on top of doing a live class or 2 a month, I will be giving 2 to 4 new videos every single month. January alone, I released 6 new exercise videos. So that library will constantly be growing. And that's the thing. We're never going to take away any of the material. It's always just going to grow on itself. So with this mystery school, you have the flexibility of taking the courses as you choose to take them and at your own speed as well. And because they're recorded, these courses, it liberates you from having to take notes and miss something, because you can always just go back and re-reference the courses as well, or the classes as well. And so it's just going to grow on itself. But this academy really gives you that choice to be able to go at this at your own speed. We also have added, for those who are complete beginners to this, we have added a 30-day beginner workbook. Optional, it's there. You can use it or not use it, totally up to you. And so we have scheduled 30 days to help you kind of figure out a schedule to how to do the exercises, how to add in different courses, just to kind of help get you into that habit. So that's there for you as well. Of course, it's totally optional. It's just there as an aid. You don't have to use it if you don't want to use it. Yeah, and I think that's about it, you guys. So if you want to join the Esoteric Academy, we are down to about 21 days before we go into our grand opening. And so if you would like to purchase at the cheaper price, go ahead and do that now. You do get 7 days of a free trial. So you get 7 days free where you could experiment with the Academy. And if you don't like it, you could always cancel your membership, no problems. Totally fine. I'm super excited. Like I said, once again, once we go into that grand opening, we're going to have even more teachers coming on board. That is my goal. Even though Paula and I are the main teachers, I really want to have other teachers up as well, other master teachers. We're only going to have master teachers, so we're not going to be having like new teachers. It's only going to be people who are considered master teachers, so that you really get a lot out of what they're teaching. And some of the teachers, some of the lineages that you see on this mystery school might conflict with each other. But we're putting different lineages out there so that you have more of a choice as to which lineage is going to work for you, right? So we're opening it up to everything spiritually based with really good teachers so that you have better knowledge over which lineage is going to serve you and your karma the best. And so again, Cindy Ola from Sacred Garden Yoga, where I teach here in Atlanta, she's more on Usara based, which is more Iyengar based. She is going to be doing some mobility classes. Again, Todd is going to be doing some Vedic chanting courses, japa meditation courses. I think Catherine is going to be putting up some of her more nutritional based courses as well, like our stress related, because that's kind of her thing. So we're going to put some of her stuff up as well. And so once we grand open, there's going to be even more. My friend up in Canada is going to be doing some Pilates stuff for our academy here. So yeah, so you have way more of a variety to choose from, and we're just here to help guide you as much as we can and serve you as much as we can. And that is the beautiful thing about everybody needs a teacher, everybody needs a guide to help them stay on the path, but you are the one that actually has to be on that path. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. We can only bring you to the water, and then you have to drink. And I think that this academy is the best way, especially for people who are completely new to this concept of exercise being spirituality, and people who are just new to spirituality in general. I mean, right now with like the 65 so students we have such a wide variety of people who are coming from different backgrounds and different experiences. And so there's always something for everyone there. So yeah, if you want to join, there's a link down in the description box below that you can join. And I look forward to meeting you guys and seeing you guys on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, February 1, 2025 at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And then hopefully I'll see you again the next day on Sunday for our first foundational class. And I'm looking forward to it. Any other questions you have about the Academy, please ask them down in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with that. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And for some of you, I will see you personally on Saturday. Bye, everybody.